Gods in motion.
How's it going, Exiles? My name is Ralph, and today I wanted to talk about some of the new uniques that were introduced in 2.2 Ascendancy expansion. So let's just get right into it. First, we got Worm Sign. Socket gems are supported by level 5 Conk Effect. Already, I like these gloves a lot because a free Conk Effect, this sounds like a single target kind of place to put a place to link your single target skill. I'd like that. Level 5 is pretty low, but still, that's great. You get that more damage multiplier for free. 120, 160% increased armor and evasion. Basically puts these up to a tier 1 level of armor and evasion, basically, so that's a good stat. 50 to 70 life. These gloves are pretty good so far. 4% reduced mana cost per endurance charge. Alright, that's okay. I mean, you can get a lot of endurance charges, but reduced mana cost is a little bit strange. I mean, I don't imagine you'd rely on that. It's kind of just a cool little perk. Gain Rampage while at max endurance charges. So, it's not when you reach max endurance charges, it's while you're at max endurance charges. So I believe that this means you would have to maintain them. So you couldn't use cast on damage Immortal Call and then maintain your rampage. You have to keep up the endurance charges. Lose all endurance charges when rampage ends. So rampage is a very powerful effect. I mean, I believe it is when you're slaying. It's very good for packs of mobs. The first effect that you get is the AoE stun, which is very strong. Gain Rampage while at max endurance charges. It doesn't say when you reach either, so you're always going to be at max if you're using the Fragility Jewel, maybe ×3. If you're at 0 endurance charges all the time and that is your max, then you're while at max endurance charges, and you still could use cast on damage taken Immortal Call. Of course, you just have the little baby one, the little tiny 0.4 duration one. However, I'm pretty sure this means you would have Rampage all the time. And even if you used 2 of the Fragility Jewel, you lose all endurance charges when Rampage ends. Every time your Rampage ends, you could just use Enduring Cry and then get Rampage back. These gloves are so cool. I love these gloves because you can just activate Rampage whenever you want with these things. With enough synergy and build planning, awesome pair of gloves. Really cool design. Next one, Joffrey's Sanctuary. Elegant Ringmail. Get some increased armor and ES % here. These are pretty low, 400 and 230. I mean, it's not Vol's Protector or anything, so I still like it better. You get a little bit of life, alright. The ES, All-Res, nice. +1 to energy shield per 5 strength. You can get 500 strength pretty easily on the left side of the tree, especially with gear. So if you had 500, only 100 ES, that's alright. It gives you Zealot's Oath. This is strange. Zealot's Oath is definitely a strong passive. I mean, the weird part is these two talents they're kind of contradictory to me in terms of utility, because you're going to be on the left side of the tree if you're getting strength and benefiting from this energy shield, but the left side of the tree is exactly where you're going to get Zealot's Oath, which seems like the best way to use it. What I was thinking is if you were a shadow or something like that, or you were restricted to the right side of the tree, then this chest might be pretty good. Yeah, you can say the armor in DS is pretty awful. I mean, armor, you're not going to be wanting armor as a shadow, most likely, but Eldritch Battery is right over in that neck of the woods, and yeah, you're not going to really benefit from this stat a lot either, but Zealot's Oath is like 11 passive nodes away from Eldritch Battery, so this is going to save you a lot of passive points, and you can still get the benefit of Zealot's Oath. You'd be right by the energy shield leech talent if you wanted to use that. So I mean, you could definitely do Eldritch Battery, Zealot's Oath, or something like that. But then again, I'm thinking about it now, this doesn't seem that great because you're going to be wanting to use Mind Over Matter, and then there's Cloak of Defiance. Mind Over Matter is right by Zealot's Oath anyway. I find this chest to be a little bit awkward. I don't think it's that great. I suppose if you were able to get Life Regen without getting but the energy shield value is so low, this chest is just awkward. I'm not sure if it's good. If you just use the chest by itself, you can have the life But if you wanted the energy shield, it's a little weird. I don't like it now that I've talked about it, honestly. On to the next one. Reckless Defense. 20% of block chance applied to spells. That's great. I mean, most shields can have like 30 block pretty easily, so then 20%, that's like 6 to spells, 6% to spells. There's also other ways to get spell block, like the new Duelist passive on the Gladiator tree. Oh yeah. 2 to 4 additional block chance. You're really going to only want this if you've got the 4, and 4 is a great amount. 7 to 10% additional chance to receive a critical strike. Well, that's not so good. I can really only see this. You would not use this jewel at all, and this is not limited to 1, so you could stack this. You could just stack the block chance and stack the additional dispels. If you had 5 of these, 5 jewels, 100% blocked spells, and then a bunch of 4s, you could have 20% additional block chance, get block capped, I don't know, but I mean, what are you going to get? Like, a 50% chance to receive a crit? You really couldn't use this unless you were getting that, the talent by Marauder and Templar that reduces the damage you take from critical strikes. This is a cool jewel, definitely, and obviously if you were using Enfeeble, you could also counteract this a little bit, because I'm pretty sure Enfeeble still reduces the chance for monster to crit. It's a cool jewel. I like this. I like the idea. I mean, I like the idea of blocking most of the hits, but then when you do get hit, it's going to be a pretty big one. Cool design. Cool design. This one, Singularity Platinum Scepter. I thought it was a wand at first. You get some lightning damage to spells. You get some cast speed. Reduced mana cost. That's nice. I mean, spells cost a lot of mana if you're scaling them with a lot of support gems and get to like 100 mana, so that actually does make a big difference. Nearby enemies are hindered with 25% reduced movement speed. Okay, I see how this is going. 60 to 80% increased damage against hindered enemies. I'm pretty... By hindered... applies the hinder debuff. Let's check this out. Let's check out hinder. Just because. Hinder is a debuff, reduces movement speed and affected target. Hinders spells, maim. Oh, okay. Alright. That's pretty cool. So, I mean, if you combined this with maybe a Blasphemy Temp Chains, or I imagine you'd want to be close because it's nearby enemies, maybe like Glacial Cascade or Ice Nova, 80% increased damage against hindered enemies, and if you had like Temp Chains and all that stuff or whatever, they could be moving so slowly. This is really cool. You could run into the middle of the mobs, even if they were fast kind of attacking mobs, you really slow them down, do some Ice Nova, the Hinder, the Blasphemy with the Temp Chains. I really like this unique. I think it's cool because instead of spell damage, you have this kind of weird hindered enemies increased damage. So I like this scepter here. That's awesome. That's the hinder. This one, the Sorrow of the Divine. It's a silver flask, which gives the consecrated ground on use 40% increased damage. Has a lot of increased duration if you get to 50%. I mean, obviously you'd want to roll this 6 seconds. That's really nice damage boost. Zealot's Oath during flask effect. Oh, this is really cool. They're doing this more. We saw this with the talisman that came out, the energy shield talisman. It seems like they're trying to incorporate the energy shield flask a little bit more, so I like this design. Consecrated ground creates a little area on the ground that gives you 4% life regen. So basically, this is going to give you Zealot's Oath and 4% life regen, so you're going to get almost an energy shield flask, but the only problem is you are restricted to stand still. This is good, though, if you're playing like a melee character, or if you're standing still and channeling something like that. If you use the flask and you're tanking a boss, I really think this is a cool flask. It's the energy shield flask so far as we have it. I think this is a cool design. It goes to show you that they're trying to integrate more of that energy shield flask type use. Good for things like CI, obviously. They're trying to use it more, but they don't want to just put it in. They're doing it in cool mechanical ways. I really like this. Next one, Axiom Perpetuum. 4% cast speed, a lot of spell crit. It's level 10, and then a bunch of damage to spells. Oh, this is kind of cutesy. This is just a nice leveling. If you wanted to level as crit, you could use this. I like that. This is, yeah. Because, I mean, sometimes it's kind of unfortunate how you can't really level crit, but there is spell crit by the beginning of the Witch Tree and stuff like that. I like this. Dual wield these while leveling, you'd be critting everything. Cool little leveling unique. Clay Shaper. Oh, man. The hype. I love this one. The Rock Breaker. Of course, you got a little bit of physical damage. I mean, I hope you're not meleeing people with this. Let's look at the important stats. Attack speed's kind of nice. Minions have 30% increased life. Very good. Minion attacks deal a little bit of additional fizz damage. This would be really good if obviously you have a lot of minions, then you get more benefit from this little bit of fizz range, but this is pretty cool. The obvious, it's a little summoner hammer here, which is weird. +1 to max golems. Oh yeah! Grants level 12 summon stone golem. Well, that's kind of a bummer because level 12 just seems a little stupid to me. I don't like that this is level 12. I wish it was like level 20. I want like a high level golem. I want like the golem builds. If you were to dual wield these things, the dual wield golem, you could have 3 golems. That'd be awesome. But again, grants level 12 summon stone golem. I wish it was 20. And then you could have a free kind of 4-link type thing instead of a 3-link. This is definitely really cool. And check this out. So there's that Elementalist talent where you get 40% increased damage for each golem you have, and it doubles the buffs from those golems. So check this out. If you can have 1 to number of golems, if you had Fire Golem and Ice Golem, and it doubles their buffs. So Fire Golem would give you like 40% damage, and Ice Golem would give you some accuracy, which is pretty much pointless. Would give you some accuracy, and it would give you crit. And it gives you like 30% crit, I'm pretty sure, so you'd have like 60% crit and 40% increased damage from your golems just by the double effect buff. And you would get increased damage from each type. So you'd have 40% increased fire damage and 40% increased cold damage. So we're talking about 120% increased damage. But you're saying, well, that's fire and cold. That's not additive together. Well, then just use Avatar of Fire and then cold to fire gem. Wear this hammer, 2 golems, stack the minion resist on them, get the minion life, keep those guys alive, 120% increased damage, and 60% crit. Turns out this +1 to max golems with that Elementalist talent is extremely powerful with Avatar of Fire and Cold to Fire. Really cool. I would like to see someone make that character. On to this last one. I really like this one. Essence Worm, Unset Ring. Has 1 socket, +2 to level of aura gems. Socketed gems reserve no mana, 40% increased mana reserved. Now, when I was first looking at this, I was not sure what to do. I was thinking, well, I mean, it's going to reserve no mana. So obviously, if you have a 50% aura, you'd want to use this. And I was trying to think, okay, so if I have a 50% aura, and then a Herald of Fire, that's, 75% reserved normally. So let's say I put a Grace in here, because, a Grace gives, with +2 level, give like 3k evasion. Or Hatred, even if you wanted to get like a huge physical as cold type stuff. So let's say I did that. So, and then 40% increased mana reserved. And I was thinking, okay, so 10% is 2.5, so then Herald is actually going to reserve 35%. So you would reserve, if you just used a Herald and a 50% with this ring, you would be reserving 35% of your mana as opposed to 75% from the 25 and the 50. So that's good. If you're just using a Herald and at 50%, this is good if you need to, for some reason, be at that much mana. But of course, the more you start to stack auras, this becomes completely useless. So I was kind of like, maybe you would use Discipline in this. But then I thought of something that I thought was pretty cool. Blood Magic. Blood Magic. So Blood Magic has that really nice, like 40% life behind it. I mean, in the passive, right? And yeah, it is behind it. But it has 50% less mana reserved. And you gotta think, well, it has less mana reserved, so why would I use this ring as Blood Magic? However, if you're playing Blood Magic and something like Calm's Heart, you can get up to 8k, some people have even gotten 10k life, and easily. And so if you're talking about reserving, even if you're reserving 50% less of, a 50% aura, you're talking about 2,500 life, 1,000 life. So picture this ring, if you were playing a Righteous Fire build. Righteous Fire doesn't really need Vitality anymore, because there are so many life regen sources, especially in things like the Chieftain tree. So if you played this with a Blood Magic Righteous Fire build, and then you could still use Purity of Fire. And yes, you can say, well, that would only reserve, 35% cut in half. So that would only reserve 17.5% of my life anyway. But like I said, that can be upwards of 1,000 life in some cases. And it has +2 to aura gems already. So if you corrupted the Purity of Fire, you'd be talking about a 5% to your max fire resist. Or if you were playing a blood magic character in general who really benefits from that 150% aura that you can't run, Grace would give, 3k evasion. Or Hatred would give you a huge amount of your physical damage as cold that you can't really get otherwise. And then you save yourself the blood magic gem link. Because the Socket of Gems Reserve, no mana. No mana, guys. Not no life. I hope this works with blood magic. Socket of Gems Reserve, no mana. But then blood magic is reserve. Oh god, I hope this works. Oh no. Oh, GG, boys. There it goes. I hope this works. Because if this doesn't work with blood magic, like I said, it would still be good in that situation where you're reserving the 50% and the 25% from the Herald. You would still save yourself from some mana reserve, but then again, if you're stacking, it's not really going to be that worth it. What a bummer. I hope that works with blood magic. Gotta do some research. Hook me up with the knowledge, guys. Let me know in the comments if you know how this works. Hope you guys like this review. I haven't been able to play Ascendancy as much as I'd like to, but I got some time off soon, so I'm definitely going to be playing a lot. Hopefully make as many videos as I can. I got some more uniques to review for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you like this, and thanks for watching.